Hi, my name is James Blackman, Executive Editor with RCR Wireless and RCRTech, and I'm joined by Jim Nevelle, who is President and Chief Executive at Mimosa Networks. And we're here to talk about fixed wireless access and all the places that it plays in different sectors, different countries, and different gaps in the market. So, Jim, thanks for joining. We spoke, I guess, just before Christmas, I think. I wrote a piece about the Mimosa story. With the takeover and all the good business with Rio and Radisys in India, plus all the stuff you've got going on in the US and further afield. But Jim, why don't you just kind of tee us off a little bit and let us know where the business is, how it's going, and where it's going.
Fantastic. Thanks, James. So 2025, good year for us overall. As a recap, we were acquired by Reliance Jio about 2.5 years ago. We'll call it the tailing end of 2023. And basically as the foundation for their Air Fiber program, which is offering internet connectivity to the households. And the service has taken off. I mean, not just taken off, it has been on a rocket ship. They now have millions of subscribers running on our platform, and their plan is to continue to expand heavily. I mean, they're adding thousands of subscribers every day. So from that aspect, it's been thrilling. With all of that benefit that we receive from that, the rest of the world has opened up its arms. So, we deploy around the planet. Things have gone extremely well for us in many of the carriers, almost on every continent. And so we're anticipating carrying that momentum into 26.
And so, I mean, that sounds amazing, Jim. Really, really does. I mean, just, I guess, put the technology in its place, if you will. How does it fit into the Rio story, Reliance Jio story, the broader public cellular story with, 5G evolution, 4G to 5G in lots of places still rumbling on, plus, 5G advanced into 6G eventually. What architecturally, I guess, is the question. What role does fixed wireless access play in there?
Absolutely. So first off, our solution set is pretty much built on unlicensed spectrum, and we'll call it the 5 gigahertz and 6 gigahertz spectrums. These are the same spectrums you might utilize in a Wi-Fi router system, as an example. And how it fits in that space is this. When you are deploying a 5G network and people are having their cell phones, a lot of times they take those homes. That is their hotspot. I will tell you right now, in many portions of the world, that is their hotspot at their house. And the network really wasn't built to have that many cell phones out there as your hotspots. It's very finite, and you put a strain on the network. So what people are now, or major carriers around the planet, are pivoting, trying to figure out ways that they can get home connectivity done, but maybe utilize, we'll call it free spectrum, maybe something a little bit different. And they built what we call purpose-built networks, where you'll be able to put a Mimosa system, an access point on a cell tower, a device at the customer prem, and you can utilize this free spectrum to offer up to gig services to the customers.
And so that's almost sounds like a tactical play, is it? Where to cope a little bit with the volume of traffic on the network, this kind of thing. Is that right? I mean, talk about maybe use the Jio example, how they're see that tactical role for fixed wireless access. I mean, you've kind of talked about it, but just explain a little more if you can.
Absolutely. So when you utilize our type of technology, it gives you threefold. Number one, obviously, takes strain off of your 5G FWA network, 3GPP. I threw a lot of acronyms out there. But what you're seeing in carriers around the planet, not just with Jio, is when you go out and offer we'll call a 5G FWA. This is when a router goes to your house, has a little antenna on it. It puts a strain on the network. The network wasn't built for that. The network was built to have cell phones being mobile, going in and out of cells. When you have a standalone device, it causes a strain on that network. So that's number one. You need to find a way to give you an alternative. Number two, fiber. When you're out deploying fiber, we'll just say India doesn't have a lot of fiber out there. Obviously, when you have such a massive population, over 1.4 billion people, you can't get fiber to everybody, or the CapEx is going to take a very long time to catch up with them. You need to find an alternative to try to get high-speed connectivity out. So this is a way to do it. Using wireless, you can basically, we'll call it, overlay the areas where people are requiring some sort of traffic when they don't have fiber connectivity. And number three is time. Especially here in the United States, when you're out deploying these fiber networks, the carriers are viewing this, whether you're a WISP, whether you're utility, whether you're one of the major carriers, you're viewing these deployments in terms of years. And that's how you're building your ROI model. In a wireless environment, you can turn the thing up theoretically within a day because it's unlicensed. You put a device up at one end, another one, it's up and running. I think I gave an example last time we chatted. We had a major telco was looking for a solution, a very fast solution, because they couldn't get fiber to a venue. While they were still in the meeting, our sales engineer went out and turned up the circuit within 30 minutes. I mean, it's just amazing what we can accomplish. So between those three things, that gives you a pretty impressive business case.
And Jim, just, to stick with the US for the moment, there are kind of policy programs out there, to close this digital divide in rural America, I guess, and for other reasons. There's the AFC and the BEAD programs, the Affordable Connectivity Fund and the Broadband Equity Initiative. Mm-hmm. Are these impacting the work you're doing?
Absolutely. First off, the amount of money being put into rural connectivity here in the United States is tremendous. Now, you're running into certain situations where we'll call it, there's no magic bullet. I mean, even satellite can't cover everybody and have the capacity. It takes a long time for fiber that we just talked about. So when you have this blend together and you bring FWA, our type of world, into this mix, it gives you a very broad brush that you can offer services to parts of America that would not get service otherwise, or it's going to take them a very long time. And then to add on top of that, I'll call it icing on the cake, is you now have what we call AFC, automated frequency coordination, where people might have been a little hesitant using unlicensed spectrum. Now you have this tool that allows you to utilize 6 gigahertz, which opens up so much bandwidth in the US for these services. You're really starting to see a major resurgence of unlicensed service offerings here in the US because of it.
And Jim, just, you mentioned, what did you say? That you're on every continent, I think was your mm-hmm. line earlier. And just, we've talked about the US, talked about the India a little bit. Is it the same use case everywhere, that this is the situation wherever there's rural, unconnected populations, then this is a way of doing it efficiently, flexibly, simply? Is that right? And just talk about those, where you are exactly in the world.
Absolutely. So it is. So those 3 buckets or 3 legs of the stool, and depends what country you're in, one of the legs gets bigger than the others. Use a great example, Africa. Africa is a great market for us. Here you have an environment where there's very little infrastructure outside of the major urban areas. People want internet. It doesn't matter where you are. We're involved with projects with small villages. They want internet, just like everybody else. Now, they might not be wanting gig services or unable to, but with our wireless technology, you can go out and offer this and at a very cost-effective level where these people might only have 10 meg or 50 meg. This is tremendous, and it's life-changing for them. So we're doing very well in Africa with all the carriers and WISPs on the continent. Latin America, same thing. You have these environments within Latin America where you're trying to get connectivity to areas that getting fiber is almost impossible, especially in some mountainous areas to try to get through. But wireless, we can have it turned up very quickly for them.
And Jim, the other thing is that when people think about fixed wireless access, they perhaps think about that kind of home internet access and the kind of consumer-based use cases, really. But I know when we spoke before, you gave some very good references, interesting references around kind of libraries and post offices, and I think pop-up markets maybe, and music festivals, that kind of thing. Just talk around the broader, application of this technology.
Absolutely. So when you're dealing with all of these, we'll call it unique solutions, the basic thing is I got to get connectivity. So we have municipalities, cities, that they don't want to pay for a licensed solution. They want to have their own private wireless network. You can utilize our item, our equipment, our access point, put it up on, let's call it City Hall. Maybe it's the tallest building in town. And then you can connect the library, maybe the schools, police department, etc., with these point-to-point links, unlicensed, at your leisure to wrap around with it. And you've now created your own private wireless infrastructure. Or you have speed to market. These venues, these music festivals that we have in the United States that pop up, they're only there for maybe 2 weeks, but they have this huge internet draw because of influencers, postings, Instagram, etc. The amount of bandwidth going into it doesn't justify building a large fiber infrastructure, but they also have a very limited time to pop up these networks and drop them down. You can use it with us. And the same thing goes for enterprise or campus environments. It's perfect for those type of worlds.
And just if we look forward, Jim, and I'm aware of time here, but just if we start to look forward, what has Mimosa got up its sleeve, as it were? Or at least what technology developments maybe do you see in the fixed wireless access space? Can you talk around some of that?
Sure, absolutely. So the two biggest things for us right now. So our C6 platform, one of the, I don't want to call it shortcomings of our technology or the world that we play with in the 5 and 6 gigahertz has traditionally been line of sight. You have to see the tower. You have to see the customer prem. We now have a non-line of sight platform called our C6, where we have deployed in dense urban environments where you have a tower, a skyscraper, and then the customer, and the customer is still able to receive a tremendous amount of bandwidth. This has been incredible for us. Everywhere that we have done these trials and done the initial deployments, it's just been, we'll call it not just amazing, but it's changed the business case for a lot of these carriers, realizing they could touch more customers now with this solution. So our C6 is rolling out. We're going to be shipping the product here just within a few weeks. And then the other one would be probably more of a longer tail to it, is now that we look at our technology in the 5 and 6 gigahertz range, we're now looking at licensed spectrum. And I don't mean something in the normal LTE 3GPP range, but we're looking at millimeter wave technology where we can use our same setup, but essentially now utilize some of these underutilized millimeter wave spectrums that carriers have basically been sitting on. And we think we can help them with their business case in regards to that.
So maybe just to round up or wrap up even, Jim, that is rural plus urban, dense urban even, that is unlicensed plus licensed. What is the future role for this technology? Where does it go in the kind of architecture and setup of 5G and 6G networks in the next few years?
That's a great question. So one, again, in our telecom environment, there is no silver bullet. You always have to use the right tool for the apparatus. And so in our world, what you will start to see is, again, rural has usually been the bread and butter. But now as carriers are seeing solutions that might go into urban environments, whether it's through license or using our non-line of sight, where it can hide behind skyscrapers, it gives them another tool in their toolbox where they might have relied on fiber. They can now rely on a different technology for whatever the business case might offer. So we're giving everybody a tool set that they can become successful at.
All right, Jim, I think that is probably time up. Fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for taking the time, being patient with me also. And hopefully we'll catch up as we go. And, and if you're watching this, hopefully we'll catch up with you as well. But thanks and goodbye.
James, thank you very much.